The Aristotelian Triangle, Part 1. The study of rhetoric, of how we communicate effectively with others through language, is ancient. In fact, we know it dates back at least to the ancient Greeks, and writing on the study of rhetoric is among some of the oldest recorded writings still extant, which means in existence. While the ancient Greeks heavily influenced our understanding of rhetoric, and their contributions to rhetorical study today are numerous, in this video lecture, we're going to talk about an idea championed by Aristotle and today referred to as the Aristotelian Triangle. The Aristotelian Triangle identifies three types of appeals, or three types of arguments or approaches one can use to persuade an audience. These appeals are ethos, pathos, and logos. Those are the Greek words, and the ones that we still use today, but don't worry, we'll talk exactly about what each one of those means in this video lecture. We're going to start off with logos. In Greek, this means the word. These are appeals made using words. Now, obviously, all written work uses words to convey its meaning. So when we say words in this context, we mean appeals based in logic or reason. Examples, then, of logos-type appeals are going to include arrangements conveyed through facts or statistics, such as 4 out of 5 doctors agree, or of the population, this is true for 98%. On a side note quickly, pay attention to how the numbers are conveyed in the examples here. There are two rules for when to spell out numbers. First, if the number is under 100, you need to spell it out. This exception is figures like percentages or times that have special characters or formats. These can be written as numbers so long as you are using the appropriate format. If, for example, you had spelled out percent here, then you would need to spell out the 98. The same is true for something like 2 o'clock. If you spell out the o'clock, then you spell out the number. But if you write with numbers, you write a 2, then a colon, then 2 zeros. The second rule when it comes to spelling out numbers is that if a number starts a sentence, it must be spelled out, without exception. If you find yourself with a high number starting a sentence, as would be the case regarding a year, it's usually better to rewrite the sentence rather than spell out the number. Another type of logos, or logical appeal, is an argument or example that draws on common sense. Like, buckling your seatbelt only takes a few seconds, but those seconds can mean the difference between life and death in an accident. The trick here is that not everyone shares the same sense or understanding of the world. So you have to make sure when using common sense arguments that what you see as obvious and rational is actually something common, something that most people do share. In this example, it's reasonable to assume most people understand how little time it takes to buckle a seatbelt, and that most people understand that seatbelts are an important safety measure in automobiles. The third type of logos appeal is one based in a cause and effect relationship. In this example, the first sentence indicates factual information about pizza, that it is high in calories and fat. The next sentence draws a conclusion that eating only pizza would thus be unhealthy. This is actually an example that's a little bit cause and effect and a little bit common sense. Notice how the conclusion assumes that the reader understands that a diet high in fat and calories is not healthy. That's common enough knowledge for us to make it a fair assumption. If the cause and effect relationship was about something that wasn't common knowledge, however, the example would need one more sentence in the middle articulating that high-calorie, high-fat diets are unhealthy. Pathos is when you appeal to someone using emotion. The most effective emotions for reaching readers are the ones we tend to feel most strongly, such as fear, love, joy, sorrow, anger, and humor. Often, TV commercials rely on emotional appeals as they provide the most bang for the buck in the short time allotted for TV commercials. Examples you're probably familiar with include pretty much any insurance commercial, which asks you to fear getting in an accident or having a tree fall on your house and not being able to pay for it, and commercials aimed at raising money or support for a cause, like the National Humane Society. Here, using pity and sorrow to evoke an emotional response in you to get you to donate money.